When you enter into a relationship with God, it's always a journey. We don't just from nothing all of a sudden enter into this wonderful relationship with God where everything is plain sailing. As in every relationship, it takes a lot of journey. I don't know if you've ever dated someone or you're married to someone you dated. The first, you get to know the person, and then you get to understand their emotions, and then you get to understand their life, and then eventually you get to love them, and you get to reach a point eventually where you even know how they're going to act and react. So it's a progression. Every relationship is a progression. But this is the progression, usually, that we enter into a relationship with God. It's the same progression that this blind man entered. First of all, he has this encounter with God. He was blind, now he sees. And sometimes this is how God meets us. We encounter this love of God. We might have been going to Mass for years and years and years, and all of a sudden, we discover the love of God, and our life sort of starts to change. But we discover God's love in three ways. The first is that we discover the humanity of Jesus. Jesus made it so easy for us to enter into a relationship with Him, in that He became like us. He became a human being, so we can understand God. Imagine God never became human. It'd just be a spirit. It'd just be something divine. We can't really anthropomorphize. We cannot really understand the way He acts and reacts, because we understand how humans act, but God. So we connect with the humanity of Jesus. And we start to speak to Jesus like I do every morning. I wake up, I say, Jesus, good morning. And I speak to Jesus when I'm driving my car. Jesus, please help me find a parking space. I speak to Jesus as a friend, as a human person. And this is amazing. This is incredible. But then there comes a point where we step into the second level. We enter this relationship with God. And many teenagers enter into this relationship with Jesus as a human. But here's where it starts to become a little bit more difficult. When we start, like this blind man, starts to recognize Him, secondly, as a prophet. What does it mean? It means that He is the mouthpiece of God. And when we approach God as human beings, all of a sudden we start to realize that, hey, my life is a bit messed up right now, and I need to correct a few things in my life. We start to get conviction. We start to feel and recognize that we need to stop doing some things in our lives, hanging out with certain people in our lives, so that we can become more like God. This is the painful part, the prophetic part. But you cannot remain in just the relational, because it's not just about prayers. It's also about changing and conforming your life to Christ. That's the second. But then you keep walking with Christ, and you start loving God, and you start changing, and then you start to realize that He is not only a prophet, but He is God. And we can spend times worshiping Him. And we spend times in His presence and basking in His presence and glorifying God, where we become people who worship God in the community. We become a people who worship God at Mass. We become people who live lives of worship as we honor God in every moment of our lives. This is the letare. This is the joy that we get to experience. So let's ask, just survey your own life. Where are you in your relationship with Jesus? Do you still see Jesus only as a man, someone maybe that you have a conversation with? Is He someone who's convicted you and allowed you to change your life, and someone who actually makes you uncomfortable? Or have you reached those 2 points plus live in a place of worship where you worship God, honor God, give glory to God through your life, through your actions, through moments when no one sees you, but also through a life of worship in liturgy every Sunday, a place of worship, a place that is selfless, and it's all about God, not about us.